Rewind-A-Dynamite from the post-wrestling site. AEW, lighting up the fuse. Sit back and enjoy the bubbly as we hear from John and Waiting. Where we're going, we don't need roads. And if the buck stops here, this thing might blow. Everything you hear are opinions of the show. And if you don't like it, go to the forums and let them know.
It is almost midnight, and it is time to review Grand Slam Mexico. It's John Pollock and Waiting here with you late and bringing you everything great. How are you, Way?
You know, I'm doing all right. Not so bad. I mean, the part of me expected this to be a nearly 3-hour edition of Dynamite, so I was expecting it. Yeah.
Well, we will go through all of Grand Slam Mexico. It's quite the card tonight from Arena Mexico. If you are joining us on the free feed, we do encourage you to make the jump and go XL, because you would get 40 minutes of news from the two of us. A rundown of the life and career of Dory Funk Jr. These are always tough for me, Way. It's like I fully do these to just keep your interest, because I feel like I'm just going on and on and on and on. And I want to make sure you're engaged.
You did a tremendous job. Like I don't know what
I literally think about it during the day of like how to go through this.
I honestly felt like I had a really satisfying sort of like encapsulation of this man's incredibly storied career. And you know, you got it done in about like 8 minutes, something like that. Well, so great job.
That is on the news segment. Brock Lesnar retiring on the Pat McAfee show. We have our tournament to determine Roman Reigns' next challenger. The Royal Rumble location and date. And folks, in February. It's going to be in February. Updates on Brie Bella, Conor McGregor. We also talked about Lola Vice's loss to Kendal Gray in the NXT Underground match. What is next for her? And CMLL's Semana Internacional from Arena Mexico on Tuesday night that I watched, as well as teeing up the G1 on Thursday, where Way and I will be getting together for the next G1 podcast. Way is diving in headfirst into the G1 at the midway point. You're going to get Yota Tsuji against Bolton Oleg and Konosuke Takeshita and Shingo Takagi on Thursday. So we will be up on the Café sometime Thursday going through those A-block matches. Also, I'm excited, Way.
I feel like I've got a big exam tomorrow, and I haven't started any studying yet whatsoever. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you had a back-to-back exam today with the topics being Ray Traylor and Rick Wilson, the Renegade, because the double shot is out, where we caught up on the last 2 weeks of Dark Side of the Ring, covering the Big Boss Man and the Renegade, and these are always enjoyable to go through with you, and we kind of had the uniqueness because I was featured on the Renegade episode, and man, Way was a pretty harsh critic. It was just gave me a whole rundown.
Your Terry Funk, your Dory Funk Jr. Discussion was pretty good, but I had some strong notes for you for this Dark Side of the Ring appearance. No, I'm just kidding. John did a tremendous job, playing the journalist role for this particular episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and we actually I got a chance to ask him a little bit about that process, as well as you conducting a Q&A with Samoa Joe as part of their premiere of that Necro Butcher episode live in Toronto over this past week. So that plus a discussion about just like both men's careers as told through the Dark Side of the Ring season 7 series, which I've still been enjoying very much.
Yeah, anyone that may be listening that was at that screening on Monday, I had a really great time. I got to meet several listeners from Corey, David Alter was there, bunch of people. Like this theater in Toronto. Have you ever been to the Royal?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
I've never been there before. Like it's kind of like an old-fashioned theater, and it's pretty big. And it was like, I want to say it was like 3/4 full for the screening, close to that. And it was a fun experience to watch one of these episodes where you're getting live reactions from people, many of whom I imagine had not seen the episode. Because, there's people laughing at certain parts. Then there's like gasping in horror at some of the more violent stuff. And then, afterwards we did a Q&A, which they ended up live streaming this on the Vice TV YouTube channel. So if you want to check that out, we did find out that one of Samoa Joe's promoters was not a fan of him doing that match with Necro Butcher. Not on night 1, not on night 2. This is ROH. Holy shit, not with Necro Butcher.
Did you get a chance to pull the impression?
Oh, dude, I was
in theater.
I was not going to break out any. I tried one joke during the Q&A where they were asking about subjects, and I made a joke about who kidnapped Samoa Joe in TNA. It didn't work for the room, nor did I feel it really worked for Joe either. I was like, okay, noted. Let's
thank you for
we'll dial back the one.
I don't know if the Gabe impression would have landed either, but yeah. We have this audience who would appreciate that.
I know I need to know my audience. Like for way I will go to the extremes and take risks, but in public I've got to mind my manners, I guess. But there you go.
Very quickly, because we've made you wait long enough for these Dynamite review anyway, one more plug here, and that is for next week's edition of Rewind Away, where John and I have made our selections for our patrons poll. This happens to be, at this point, a pretty rare, edition of the show where our executive producer, in this case, Chad Olson, just simply doesn't really have a pick, and therefore we open it up to all of our patrons out there to make a selection based off of two choices from both John and me. So we each gave 4, and your choices are the 1991 edition of SummerSlam, featuring the wedding of Randy Savage and Elizabeth, of course, and also Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart. I have chosen for my selection MLP episodes 1 and 2. John's second selection happens to be Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, a very Toronto-centric film that actually has garnered a number of interested commenters for people who want us to talk about it, but I'll give you maybe an update on the results to see exactly how many. I've also chosen the AI doc, or how I became an apocalyptimist. So you have your chance to vote, but to update everybody right now, SummerSlam 1991 is running away with it at 53% of the votes. And then tied for second place are MLP Mayhem episodes 1 and 2, and also Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. And then trailing last at 9% is the AI doc. So you have until Friday to make your selections if you're a Post Wrestling Cafe patron or even a free tier member. And then the review will be out next week.
The Nirvana film and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling were all the Canadian voters, I would imagine.
Brian from New Jersey says he chose it. So, I'm sure some people in the U.S. have seen it.
I think you'd love the Nirvana movie. I think you would totally love it.
I'm very interested in watching it, but I don't think I will for next week.
Probably not for next week, but hey, you still have until Friday, so maybe we can get a big.
SummerSlam 91 will be fun too.
I didn't even realize I have access to this AI doc. I'm going to watch this. I had heard about it when it first came out, and I didn't realize I have it on. It's available on Amazon Prime. Prime Video.
For us, yeah. I'd only heard about it in my research in making the choice. But again, we don't have to worry about it because we won't watch it.
Go vote before Friday. Do you want to announce the winner on SmackDown on Friday night?
Neil and I will announce it.
Tune in. They'll give you the confirmation of the winner. But tonight, we're heading to Arena Mexico, and we did not get a final number from WrestleTix. The last update I had seen from them was from a day or two ago, and it was just over 6,000. They announced it several times as a sellout on the broadcast tonight, which would be way, way more than 6,000. So number to be determined.
What is a typical sellout for Arena Mexico?
Okay, so this is where it's kind of tricky. The number that people had always accepted for Arena Mexico was like 16,000 and change. And then over the last couple of months, Dave Meltzer, who has recently been to CMLL and been with Salvador Luderoth, he's been going with 13,200. But Ernesto Ocampo, who is a journalist there, this is not the answer you were probably expecting.
We need this. We need the detail.
Filed a Freedom of Information request with the building, and the capacity was listed at 16,000 and change. There's been renovations in Arena Mexico, so I think over time that has kind of changed what people believe the full amount was. So you can go with 13,000 or 16,000, depending. The building site itself, I believe, is stated 16,000. So I guess we can lean towards that. Which is a lot more than 6,000. So if this was sold out, this would be a gigantic number. But AEW never gave a number on the broadcast. They only said sold out multiple times.
Maybe they don't even know.
They might not know either. So there's that chance. So Adam Copeland is the first one out, and my God, this place exploded. And this was his first time in Arena Mexico. Again, he gets to do this and then the grocery store all within a couple of months.
He's speaking of the Mattamy Athletic Center for people who may have not listened to our news
Yes.
back. But among his bucket list venues to perform at. So we'll see if he can cross out. Well, he will be crossing out Mattamy or Maple Leaf Gardens. We'll see if he can cross out the Tokyo Dome as well. But I was not prepared for the amount of incredible reaction that he had in particular in this entire match, but also for this entrance. This crowd was. This Mexican crowd was singing along to Metalingus, which, at this point, I mean, do you know all the words?
Don't you sing along to it?
Well, do you know all the words to Metalingus?
Dude, I don't know any words.
I was just I mean, at this point, I'm really wondering how many crowds, period, actually know all the words, or is it just a lot of on this day, I'm too light, it's probably a lot of that, but this crowd did that really well.
A lot of the crowds have been doing this. This is, it's Metalingus is just taking the wrestling world by fire over the last year or so. So he is teaming with Christian and the Bucks against Jon Moxley, Daniel Garcia, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta. Red hot crowd. They go to break after Christian hits a high cross to the floor, and they get control of Nick throughout that. Copeland gets the tag, and they're just in love with Adam Copeland here. Runs into a cutter from Moxley, and then it's the babyfaces taking over with a 4-on-1 beatdown of Moxley, and that includes a triple super kick that Copeland engages in, and then Copeland and I believe it was Nick hit a double 619 onto Moxley. Mm-hmm. So a lot more courage in Adam Copeland than John Cena had to do a 619.
I mean, he's much thinner and therefore a little bit more athletic to be able to, do the move. So, yeah.
Copeland hits the Impaler DDT, and the whole crowd is chanting spear. So when he sets up in the corner, they are just about to just climax. But Marina Shafir grabs Copeland. Christian yanks Shafir to the floor. Marina slaps Cage, and then Marina gets kicked between the legs.
Yeah. That's the appropriate way to
yes.
put it.
I saw terms of what this was called that I cannot state on this show. But
what terms were those?
It was referred to by someone as the sea punt.
Oh.
Yeah, so
okay, got it.
All points for creativity out there. Copeland comes off the rope, spearing Moxley. And then it's Yuta distracting referee Bryce Remsburg, and Copeland runs the ropes, and we get the we get the Owen Brett spot at Survivor Series where he runs in and knocks into Matt on the apron and gets rolled up by Moxley for the pin in 11 minutes and 37 seconds.
So let me just say off the bat, I think all these matches on the show are starting off at I want to say at the very least a 7.5 out of 10, simply based off of the heat in this building. Every match already is going starts off from a point of you're probably going to have a great match, because this crowd is just so hot for everything. But I mean, the actual content of the match in particular, I thought was tremendous. Positioning Cope as sort of the top guy in the match, the crowd favorite. Again, not something I would have predicted for this, Arena Mexico show, but it was certainly more than successful, and he was by far the biggest star in the match. And you had strong action from all involved, all the faces getting some good spots, good moments. Including Christian. I love that spot with the
kick,
the lovely kick to Marina Shafir, because it just continues to show how even as a babyface he's still finding ways to still be a heel, or at least be the asshole, yet still get cheered for it and still get more over as a result. And I thought that worked wonderfully to show his distinction with the rest of the baby faces. And by the end, they successfully created some tension between the Bucks and Cope, but I came out of it actually a lot more interested than in a singles match between Moxley and Cope. And they've had a match on Dynamite before, but
they did the pay-per-view last year, the Revolution show together.
They did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe
They did the pay-per-view match, which did not get great reception, and then I think they ran it back on Dynamite after the fact, and that's the one you're thinking about.
Well, I mean, I thought they had tremendous chemistry tonight.
They did. I thought this was a very good match, and like Copeland was like one of the bigger stars on this entire show, and I know like there was some criticism because in the promotional material they had put Omega front and center, who was not on last year's Grand Slam show, and then they removed Omega over the last couple of days, and there was the thought that like Omega being on the show would be a pretty big deal as well. Andrade, Tommaso Ciampa, and Commander to determine the number one spot in the men's casino gauntlet, and it felt like Ciampa was auditioning for like to become the top Rudo here in CMLL. He comes out with the American flag, and he's in red, white, and blue. They also show Carlos Cabrera, who's on the Spanish team, calling the show. And Commander was pretty fantastic in this match. I mean, all three guys had their moments in this thing. He does the tightrope walk right across the ring and leaps onto both guys on the floor. Andrade takes a selfie with the woman at ringside, but then Ciampa runs him into the rail, takes the woman's phone, and takes a dick pic and throws the phone back to her. This was, I think, during the commercial break, so some people may have missed this.
Well, you might have seen it in the picture-in-picture, and
the dick picture-in-picture?
That's right. I'm pretty sure, like, in some parts, that would be grounds for harassment, but for a pro wrestling spot, I would say not that.
Yeah, I mean, this was a weird choice for a spot in a match. I'm sure his family
I think
was
Ciampa,
proud.
like, you can see between like the American flag, between like attacking Andrade's pants, like in the match, like he's really looking for ways to create like those moments for the audience beyond just the wrestling, and did this necessarily work for everybody? I mean, I would suggest it worked for the crowd to some level.
Guys, I need some ideas. What do obnoxious Americans do? Oh, they send unsolicited dick pics. Yeah. That's a thing. Okay, thank you. Put that in the toolbox. Commander does a springboard and is nailed in midair with a knee strike. The pants come off. Andrade was just a superstar to all of these people. And then Ciampa takes Andrade's pants and delivers a Project Ciampa to them and then starts attacking them when Commander comes to the rescue of the pants and he takes a Project Ciampa.
Yeah. So like it worked really well last week, or was it 2 weeks ago at this point, with UP, and it gets a great reaction. I just, like, for me, I kind of like my Tommaso Ciampa to be like a lot more serious and not like doing like this sort of cutesy, like cartoonish stuff. But I mean, again, it's there to get a reaction.
This might have been the match for Kemalito to appear in for Ciampa.
Yes.
Commander did this amazing springboard into a Poison Rana that looked fantastic. The spinning elbow takes out Ciampa. Then it's a Poison Rana by Commander to Andrade, and he hits the shooting star to Ciampa. So Ciampa's out, but Andrade grabs Commander after hitting the move and lifts him for the DM, and Andrade pins Commander in 11 minutes and 6 seconds. He puts on the Dynamite Diamond Ring, so Andrade will be the number one entrant. And we'll get into the post-match after, but I thought their match was spectacular. I thought this was maybe by the end of it, maybe like the number 2 match on the show. I just thought everyone was excellent in this one.
There are a lot of contenders for,
there's, as we go through them, a lot of contenders.
This is a very strong match, and like, for maybe like some nitpicking, I thought Ciampa overall did a tremendous job as the lone heel in the match, and he, again, like the effort he puts into, again, just like, I think creating a reaction from this audience beyond just the wrestling, I think is very much appreciated. And of course the wrestling has to be great to back it up, which I thought it really was. But as usual, Commander steals the show, man. Like, he's not winning, but every time he's out there, he's just like so spectacular that you just can't help but
and he's on this incredible pace. Like, I just saw him and Moscar Dorada the other night on in Arena Mexico, and just
It really is getting to the point where, like, I think I hope there's enough buzz for the audience to want to see him in an actual pushed position rather than just be the guy to deliver a spectacular match and then take the pinfall, right? Like
Yeah.
I've not even heard a promo from the dude like on Dynamite at all, like in many months. So I feel like it's time.
Well, it was a great match. Andrade addresses the crowd. He wants more than just the national title, does the catchphrase, but then MJF's music plays. And Andrade is watching the entrance, and he gets jumped from behind as MJF has the triple B, takes back the Dynamite diamond ring, and lays out Andrade, busting him open. The first of plenty of blood that we had on this show. And MJF is full
This
on.
man looks massive. Does he look bigger than he did like upon
He's been
leaving?
gone for like 4 weeks.
Like, is it just the tank top effect or what, man? Holy shit.
His
dude.
traps are not trapped. They are
certainly not.
bursting. Yes. I mean, listen, he's getting into all in shape.
Yes, yeah, that he is.
So he's got the triple B, lays out Andrade, calls this a piece of shit country, and said that he had the match won at Beach Break until Ospreay got involved, and therefore Omega is a paper champion, walking around with a toy belt. And this was my main event at All In. So next week, he's going to enter another gauntlet qualifier to determine the number 2 entrant, and then he's going to dog walk Andrade, win the contract, which he won the Casino Gauntlet at last year's All In Texas. He's going to do it again this year, and says that the Triple B is the only title that should be recognized, and calls Omega Ospreay the fake main event, and he is the one true champion. So my only question about this is that if this is, in his mind, the real title, and that's the fake belt, what is he working toward?
Well, he wants, maybe it's just his way of saying, I want to be the legitimate undisputed champion. In my mind, I'm already that, but I'm here to prove to everybody else that that this is the only title that should be recognized.
But he's acknowledging, like, this title is not the title. I need to go get the real title, basically.
So, I mean, he's after official recognition. He can go around and parade this all he wants, but, Tony Khan's
he's
not
calling
going to
this the
recognize
official title. This is the real title.
But as much as
the other
he
one's the
thinks
toy.
it is,
I'm going after the toy belt.
Well, he wants to get rid of the toy belt. How about that? That's what he's after.
Okay. Well, so he's got this belt. Is this his role at All in London? The Gauntlet?
It's the Gauntlet. Clearly, like I think
Seems
anybody
like
competing in these matches are going to be a part of the Gauntlet. And obviously, we see the match being built for Andrade. You can certainly sense that for All Out, which is not long afterwards. Like, you're already sensing.
It's like you are going to get Andrade MJF potentially if they're going to start the match, but
and
it's not like the Casino Gauntlet is just a nothing match on this show. It's an important match, but I saw MJF being in like the number 2 match on the show or something with Hangman or with Andrade. And we've kind of we've been there with MJF with this Gauntlet win and winning the contract last year. Like, it's fine, but
the reaction, I think, will be strong in Wembley. But I also think it's just like this is more of a build towards All Out than it maybe is just an actual full program for MJF. Him holding the Triple B, I think, also maybe opens the door for, I know you love these, but a possible ladder match, like with Ospreay down the road.
a ladder match with those two. Oh.
Well, just
I think it definitely sets up like
it's what you do with like 2 belts, right? That's just kind of quick thinking.
It certainly sets up MJF with Ospreay and maybe even a rematch at some point with Omega too. Like, there's certainly a lot of options. I do like that they are setting stuff up for, like, they're already focusing on the Ospreay title reign. Yeah, like, we don't have to start from scratch the day after All In, and it's like, what are we going to do in 4 weeks? You've got Moxley, you potentially have MJF, and there's going to be options there. Divine Dominion and Mercedes Moné against Willow Nightingale and the Brawling Birds. Moné won't start with Willow. So there's Cannonball Sentons by Willow and Windsor off the apron, and then a high cross from Hayter. They get the advantage on Hayter for a period of time. And then Willow and Moné are finally tagged in together. All 6 end up in the ring. There was no concern about tags. Willow hits a DVD to Bane and then goes for the Babe with the powerbomb and is stopped by Divine Dominion. The Birds remove them, and then Moné counters the Babe with the powerbomb, goes for the Moneymaker, and Willow catches her with a backslide counter, pinning her the same way she beat Tekla in 11 minutes and 25 seconds. And instead of All in London being like, Willow winning the big one, it's like she's got Mercedes' number now. She beat her for the TBS title, caught her here. It's almost like, can Monet beat Willow is sort of the question here, with Monet in the challenger role.
Yeah, I mean, certainly unconventional, but I didn't hate it here. Like, number one, champion should be winning, right? And Willow, I certainly wouldn't have like take a pin or even a loss like this early into her run. She still represents to me, like, despite being the champion, Mercedes is going to feel like the dominant, presence, right? And therefore, I think Willow is still in need of credibility that she just doesn't have as much yet. Secondly, it's just like it. I think it's unusual, and you would want Monet to be like, yeah. Yeah.
You know what they're doing? They're kind of booking this as the way they had it in initially, that it was like Willow going for the belt at All in London, that she gets the pin on the champion here as they're going toward it. And it's not like this doesn't work. It's fine. Like, I'm fine with the story. You have the
She's
history.
still going to feel like the underdog, heading into
they still have that dynamic, but I'll be honest, like, I don't mind when AEW does this, because much like you just mentioned with the commander spot, like, there's like, in a match like this, you just assume it's going to be like, who's the weakest link here that's going to take the fall, and having Monet like crossing things up and the big star takes the fall. I think that's good to do every now and then, that it's not so telegraphed, because you easily could have made the argument of one of the birds getting a pinfall on Lena or Megan Bayne, because this sets up the tag title match coming out of this match.
I kind of feel like maybe I would have preferred that, just because, like, to me, that would have justified the title challenge that much more, like, because they announced the match officially after this, and I think like having either Windsor or Hayter pin one of Divine Dominion would have like made that a bigger sort of like earned moment. But I know they want to be very protective of Divine Dominion. Still, I feel like I would have given them one of those. I don't know if they've ever been pinned. I don't think they've ever been pinned.
They've completely protected them.
I think tonight would have been one of those nights when you could
have gotten around it that way. So that's the latest edition for All in London that everybody knew was coming. Kyle Fletcher, Speedball, Mike Bailey. They're 1-1 going back to last year's Continental Classic, and then one of the best matches, period, this year that they had earlier. Bailey comes out in a Mystico-themed mask, but then removes it for the start. And Fletcher takes Bailey, and he lawn darts him into the barricade. And here at Arena Mexico, these are the metal barricades that have no give to them. And he just bounced off of this guardrail on the floor. We have Bailey coming back, and he lands this kick to Fletcher while seated on the turnbuckle, and they showed like 3 replays of this, and it looked like he caught Fletcher flush, because Fletcher's head went back like a Pez dispenser eating this kick, and Fletcher is riling up the crowd, hits his half and half suplex, and then they make their way up the ramp and fight by the steps, and Bailey avoids a suplex and moonsaults off the stairs and onto Kyle Fletcher.
It's crazy. Seriously, It's crazy, because you're doing it blind, and like upon
and you
landing,
have to get out far enough so you don't like come down on the steps, which is like,
and I don't know if he did. I mean, he was he
might have landed on the steps too, and it's not like he has boots on either.
You're like landing shin first onto like the bottom step. It's, oh man, yeah, wow.
So he hits the moonsault, takes a Michinoku driver in the ring and an apron bomb, and then they do the regular finishing sequence for Kyle, boot in the corner, brain buster, but Bailey kicks out and the place goes wild that he survives. Bailey manages a poison run off the top, hits the Ultima weapon, and Fletcher gets his shoulder up for another awesome near fall. Crowd was just at a 10 here, and Bailey gets caught, another lawn dart, running boot, and the Generico Brainbuster on the top turnbuckle wins the match for Kyle in 16 minutes and 41 seconds. I forgot about this one when I was ranking the matches. This one was, I'd put this above the three-way earlier, but this really shows you like the depth that this TV show had on Wednesday.
Yeah, what a match. I mean, these two, on this show at this point, like they are mid carders, but I like this is the type of match that should be headlining their pay-per-views. It was that good, you know. Like if certainly Fletcher like represents the next generation, I would kind of categorize Speedball as part of that as well. I think they're every bit as good as your current like top end, you know, in your Will Ospreays and your Kenny Omegas right now. Like Fletcher felt like the final boss of a video game here, and that like he just feels incredibly hard to beat. You know, that near fall that they got with the Ultimate Weapon, I thought was so strong and really believable, you know, despite like it made me forget about the booking for All In and it made me think Speedball actually had a chance. That's how good it was. But he's like the way Fletcher could just like kind of come back from it and just like at the ferocity at which like he will go for the kill, like makes him feel scary, you know, as this like top villain. And I just think he's so great. I also think Speedball, much like Commander, feels like somebody who, you know, he's much closer than Commander, obviously, but like he should be like put into higher positions. You know, he proved that. I think certainly in ring he's tremendous, but also in the build up to this match in that press conference proved that he could talk.
That press conference was more, I think, important for him than the ladder match was that night.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that was the bigger. Like everyone knows this guy's going to have tremendous matches. That's not the question, especially when a ladder's involved. But that press conference, I think, endeared him to a lot of people, and it showed that, yeah, this guy's not a conventional promo, but he absolutely can be captivating. That's the key to a promo. Can you be captivating? It doesn't matter how you talk. Like George St. Pierre was very captivating when he was inspired and into something, even though he wasn't like your typical, like, you know, great talker that you would associate with.
Do you know he has a podcast now?
I do. I am aware. Have you heard of any of it?
I listened to the one with he interviewed Robin actually.
Yes.
For one of the episodes. And I listened to his interview on Mighty Moses on Demetrius Johnson's podcast. I can listen to George speak for hours.
He's so a really great, and in his prime, like he was awful on interviews because he hated talking about like on fight week.
It was a machine.
He was awful to speak with.
Yeah.
And when he got away from fighting, super charismatic and so much more life. That is very evident now whenever you hear him speak. Okada comes out, interrupting Fletcher's celebration, and they have a stare down with the belt as Okada proceeds to the ring for the next match. So it seems like all systems go for these two, and probably Takeshita in the mix.
What's the turnaround between the end of the G1 and
the G1 ends on the 16th, and that's 2 weeks before All In. So you have
lots of time to recover.
You basically just have to have Takeshita walk out and point at the belt, and you've got the match. That's all you need.
Yeah, he'll be good to go. Like his body will be more than fine, warmed up.
Okada's teaming with Hechicero and Kevin Knight against Mystico, Chris Jericho, and Darby Allin. And Mystico's entrance was the thing I was looking forward to the most. And yes, we got Mimero as he came out. And I mean, this was like, it's a different type of reaction than like Adam Copeland. It was just like this roar, like they were in awe of this guy. Mystico is like, this guy is a legend to these people. Like he is a comic book character come to life. He's the biggest draw in the entire industry. And he comes out and he's on home turf here in Arena, Mexico. It's like, they showed the shots like these people. I'd be interested, like how many of these people are like CMLL regulars versus like, is AEW drawing from people that are not your CMLL regulars, for instance? It'd be interesting. But, yeah, this was quite the entrance that he had, followed by Corazon de Leon. Chris Jericho coming out with his throwback gear from his CMLL days, complete with tassels and shorts. He wrestled in shorts.
He did. He's done this before.
He has. I don't think he's wrestled in the yellow shorts though. This was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to remember. But anyway, and then Darby came out just as Darby. Darby had the least. Well, you know what? I hold that back. I was going to say just the usual entrance. He skates down the ramp and gets annihilated by a flying clothesline from Kevin Knight, which was one of the nuttier spots on this show, where he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be moving on my skateboard and just rip my head off."
Felt like something perfect for Jackass.
And then he got thrown crotch first onto these fucking steel barricades. So that was Darby's start as the bell rung. Darby is laid out. Then he goes for a tope suicida and is caught with an Okada drop kick in midair. This set us up for the picture-in-picture break. For a Darby picture-in-picture. They get the heat on Mystico. He ends up fighting off all three, and we see Jericho coming in with a code breaker on Okada. Then Darby and Knight are in, and he gets the Scorpion Deathlock, but Knight reaches the rope. They clear out the ring, and it's Jericho with a high cross to the floor, Darby with a coffin drop, and then Mystico with the leaping crossbody onto Hechicero. Knight stops a coffin drop, goes for the coast-to-coast drop kick, and is nailed with the Judas effect as he's in the air. Walls is applied to Okada, La Mystica to Hechicero, and Darby pins Kevin Knight with the coffin drop, and they certainly play up the idea of Darby going for the TNT title, which is probably their direction for London, and they all embrace, and it goes 10 minutes, 32 seconds, and Jericho is thanking the crowd as he left. A fun trios match that they had here with a purpose of, Darby pinning Kevin Knight.
I thought this was just an awesome party match, and to me, I would rank it amongst the top end of like the matches I enjoyed the most on this particular show, just because like it was fun and had the star power, and it had like a really strong sustained atmosphere throughout. They could have just simply come out and each like wrestled their individual matches, but I thought like this match was made special through like the unique chemistry of your one night only chemistry between Mystico, Jericho, and Darby Allin, a team you will never ever see again beyond tonight. And you wouldn't think that they would fit, but I thought they found enough like commonalities between them to make those like team spots feel cohesive and purposeful. Yeah. So creatively, like they seem to put a lot of effort into it. I thought the heels were tremendously obnoxious, like led by Okada, of course, and also Kevin Knight. So I thought it all just like really, really clicked, and it made for a really fun special attraction.
It seemed like this was a really important deal for Jericho. He seemed like he was really into the whole thing here. What if Darby had offered to shoot one of his videos with Mystico during his time off? It's like, hey, could we do a video together or something?
I'm sure he could get into quite a bit of trouble in Mexico. Yeah.
So in my mind, it was like we had about 40 minutes left or so. I was like, okay, 2 matches. I totally forgot that we had Persephone and Chris Statlander. I was like, oh, we had 8 matches on this card. And so that was next. They recapped Statlander helping out Maya World to retain her TBS title against Persephone as the reason for this match. And they show Thunder Rosa in the crowd with her recently won Mexican national women's title. Chris does this handstand, avoiding Persephone, and then misses a leg drop on the edge. And Thunder Rosa's in the crowd, and Persephone is getting into her face. Persephone gets the advantage, but then after missing a cabrata, Statlander tries the seatbelt, missed a 450, and then it's Persephone with the spear, and she goes to the floor and grabs Thunder Rosa's belt and nails Thunder Rosa with it. Statlander then does a tackle off the apron, taking out both Persephone and the referee. So Shida shows up, attacking Statlander with Thunder Rosa's belt. Keep up with me. And then a springboard splash by Persephone. There's still no referee, who then saunters into the ring to count 3 at 10 minutes and 7 seconds. And out come Maya World and Hyan to check on Statlander. Be like, could you guys have come out any earlier to maybe give me some help? I could have really used it there after all of that interference.
Maybe they got lost in the back because like the signs were harder to read. Although I'm pretty sure somebody in the team speaks Spanish. So I thought the match was okay. I felt the action was decent up until the stuff with Rosa on the floor. I don't think the belt shot looked good at all because Rosa had to kind of like forcefully, kind of awkwardly stand there as she was waiting for the Persephone belt shot. And it just, to me, looked really obviously
staged. She had to take
staged.
the belt from Thunder Rosa. Then Thunder Rosa had to climb over the barricade. Then she had to wait for the belt shot. Then we had the Shida run in. And then we had the ref bump here. It just felt like there was so much crammed into it was a very overbooked finish.
Yeah.
And then they were explaining like this was Shida's favor to Persephone from the survival of the fittest match that happened a month ago, and she couldn't help her last week, but this was her making good on the favor.
I get it. Tag team match to come on Collision, sure, whatever. Like it's why they're doing it. But I the way they got there with the ref bump, it was just, I think, too many gimmicks for this product. Like it just kind of felt a bit much. But Persephone does continue to like really feel like a standout, you know, with her heel charisma. I think she's impressed in all of her appearances recently.
The Demand defending the trios belts that they've just won against the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Hangman Page and Brodito, who come out with not just a mariachi band, but in sombreros with Camelito.
Yeah, with the lower third for Page reading, he's worried that the sombreros may be problematic. So
I missed that. That's kind of funny. I think he gets a pass after last year.
Yeah. If you could cut a promo like that, I think they would accept it.
This is Hangman's first match since Revolution when he lost to MJF. And Bandito, they do an assisted top rope dive to the floor, and then Bandito tries to start the Macarena, but they're cut off. The Demand then attack Camelito, and my God, this was the loudest the crowd was all show, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was enormous. Mm-hmm. The easiest heat spot in the world. They did this the night before with the Don Callis family. There's triple dives by the champions. They're attacking Page 3-on-1. Brody's in for the save. And then Bandito tries the 21 plex. Ricochet lands on his feet, and he makes the blind tag to Toa. Bandito doesn't see it and continues with the one-arm press. And then Toa Leona stacks up all three members on his shoulders. I was just like, there's no way. There's no way. And, dude, he got these three. He walked to the center and delivered a Samoan drop. He didn't kill any of them. This guy has stupid strength.
Yeah. Like, what would be the combined weight?
Well, dude, Brody's easy 315 probably. Uh-huh. I mean, Page, you're probably looking at like 230, 240-ish, I'm guessing. Like, Bandito's the lightest of them. But, like, you're looking at probably 700 to 750 pounds. That
is insane.
I thought he was going to lift two of them. When he got three of them up, like this was just a super impressive. So I can't recall like such a strongman spot as this was. This is very impressive. At least I was very impressed, as you can tell. The crowd even applauded this. They were like, "Damn, that's pretty good." Mm-hmm. So King hits a tope suicida, and then it's Bandito going for the 21 plex. Toa holds on to the rope, and Hangman kicks his hands to break the grip, and we get a buckshot into the completed 21 plex as they win the titles in 13 minutes and 35 seconds, and they get to perform the Macarena, which I would argue is more problematic in 2026 for any human to be doing. I like this a lot. It was like you got your title change here. I believe the Demand are pretty much, especially Ricochet, they're kind of in that role where they're perceived as bulletproof. Like they can just lose to anybody, and this does set up a new trio. This is always a very dangerous division because this can also be just the island of irrelevancy. This division.
Yeah. I think like having Paige be a part of it kind of like, maybe is helps that, like, because he's a big deal. Therefore, I think the titles feel like a bigger deal. And now we're talking about a Hangman Page that doesn't really have a destination as a single star. So he could, unlike last time, maybe focus on this trio. And also maybe spells out like his direction for All In, which certainly I don't know if any of us would have predicted. Like on paper, it kind of feels like a pretty low ranking thing for Page to be in a trio. But I think the match will be tremendous, and of course, like it's Bandito and it's Brody King, and I thought the Demand were so entertaining here. In particular, like Ricochet was tremendous. So I was almost like a little bit disappointed to see this trio's reign end so quickly. But they're also the types of guys that I think could probably like win the titles back very quickly in short time. And I don't think anything would be off, with the exception of just like you wanted a big night here, a big reaction for the title switch, and is there a strong enough trio that you can see for Page?
I see maybe like a makeshift team of like some team
like
that
top
just
guys, like Don Callis family guys. Maybe
it should be some big names that just don't have anything else for All In. Like I don't see them running this back. I could see them finding a new trio, and it's they certainly have a plethora of big important names that you could put some kind of makeshift team together as well. Mm. So another very good match on the show as well. And then we are concluding with the Mexico City street fight between Mark Davis and Will Ospreay. And this crowd, like, they were just at an 11 at this point when it started. They were super heated for the beginning of this, and this was quite the performance that both men had. They're singing for Ospreay, and then Will Ospreay, or I should say, Ospreay finds Wheelson.
He does. Or maybe Wheelson's Mexican cousin.
It could have been Wheel Senor.
That's right.
I don't know. I hope that's not problematic. So brings out the wheel, and this is used as a weapon. He gets dropped on it, and Davis hits an apron bomb, and he whips this trash can at Ospreay's head. These two clearly had an agreement that, concussions aren't real.
If you slept on somebody's couch, I think, you kind of have this unspoken agreement that.
Oh, did these guys live together?
As hard as possible. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Pandemic,
They go to they go up the stairs at the entrance, and Davis is choking him with a towel. I actually thought he was like going to give him like another adjustment, like a spinal adjustment with this towel. And Ospreay is sent rolling down the steps, which to me is one for Will. I'd be like, I could cut this one out before the biggest match of my life in a few weeks, but why not?
Maybe magician's craft. Maybe there's an art to
the secret to rolling down stairs. Yeah. Yes, the secrets to headshots and stairs. Then a fork is brought out, and the fork stabs Ospreay in the forehead, and he bleeds a gusher. And then Ospreay gains control of the fork. He stabs Davis, and then this guy puts this fork in his mouth.
Listen, okay. All In is what, like a few weeks away. You're not gonna get tested for. You're not gonna, what's a little hepatitis? It's fine.
What's a little? So both men are bleeding profusely. Davis drives him through a pair of chairs for a 2 count, and one of them is covered in barbed wire. So he wraps the wire around his forearm and grinds it into Ospreay's forehead, then grinds it into his back. So he's cut up all over the place. Ospreay grabs him by the testicles, a 2-on-1 as they call it, and pile drives Davis onto the apron. And Davis rolls to the floor, and Paul Turner is counting, and he gets to 8, 9, and Davis is lifeless. And Turner has to just stop the count because it's going to ruin the match. And he's got to knock Davis, who clearly thought it was a 20 count when he only had 10, and he just had to pop up and break the count out of nowhere.
Why would he have thought it was a 20?
I don't know. He's got New Japan on the brain.
Okay.
But this was the only blemish in the match, but it was quite obvious. And Davis just hits him with the pile driver. Ospreay comes back with a Styles Clash. This crowd was insane. Elbows to the face, and then he wraps the barbed wire around Davis and hits a hidden blade to his face with the barbed wire, pinning Mark Davis in a pretty spectacular Mexico City street fight with the story that Will does have the edge post Death Riders and is willing to kill a man, even someone that lived with him.
True. Yeah. As a way to show that sort of plot point, I mean, this was very effective, there's a certain higher expectation for an AEW hardcore match, even on television. And I thought these two met it, this felt like, there was more than one moment in this match where it really made me wonder how nervous Tony was watching it, because man, Ospreay is not at all taking it easy heading to Wembley, so they had a lot of great stunts, creative usage of weapons and environment, the roll off the steps, that insane gory rack thing that Davis did into that whatever DDT it was that folded Ospreay up. That was insane. And then that pile driver always looks devastating. So this match was awesome, and it felt like pay-per-view level in terms of violence and action. So it really topped off an incredible night.
17 minutes. A really spectacular show. I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to find matches of this quality on too many wrestling programs. So you got pretty much this felt like a 3-hour pay-per-view by the end of it. And if this had been a pay-per-view, I don't know if people would have been complaining that there wasn't another 2.5 hours tacked onto it.
As I said, like as a viewing experience, if you're watching without commercial breaks, like many would on my AEW, like for as a 3 hour experience at this pace, it was incredibly satisfying. So very strong show as they always are. And I mean, Tony, I think wanted to book this one as if it was a mini pay-per-view. And I thought they achieved that with like, a title change, a lot of special attraction, not as much like CMLL, like maybe involvement in all
No,
of
not
the
really. It
card.
was Mystico. Mystico was like the
Yeah, I mean,
most significant crossover. You had no Máscara Dorada or
you
like
have your dual
Neon as
contract
some.
guys like Persephone, like you could even classify Hechicero, but this felt just very much like an authentic AEW
Yeah.
experience, right? And
Complete
that
with
was
the
fine.
blood, which like they do not do much blood at Arena Mexico. So they did like an AEW style like show and main event here for this crowd. Like they were not like that is something different that you're only going to get in rare cases at Arena Mexico.
Yeah, and I don't think this crowd minded at all, like not having, some of the maybe more CMLL proper guys on the show because they probably wanted to see an authentic AEW show. And in the lead up to All In, your biggest show of the year, you can argue all of this is just maybe real estate that's too valuable to really give to somebody else by now.
It is something that does that does come up like every now and then. Like we talked about this when Hangman came back, and then the follow up Dynamite, like no mention of it as well. Like I thought for this show, like you would have had no idea the Motor City Machine Guns showed up on Saturday. And
Yeah,
it's like
true.
that's kind of like they load these things up that
Mhm.
sometimes like there are like they can't touch on everything. But I thought like when you have a big signing like that, I do feel like you should follow up on it on the next episode. Like if you did not see Collision or just something quick with the machine guns, like, hey, we're here and we're gonna be in action next week. Just something quick.
I agree. Like if you only watch Dynamite and like I'm sure the people online who are watching Dynamite are already well aware, but like I think the machine guns coming in deserve some level of presence on the show in the form of like a video recap or something,
It's
right?
not just about if people knew about it. It's also telling you like it's important that they're
Yep.
here. They're not just like two other guys
Mhm.
that's you kind of slot them when you do that. Collision is Saturday, and we've got three. We haven't talked about this Continental Cup yet, but they announced all the participants on Monday, and we're going to get three opening round matches on Saturday for the live Collision with Claudio Castagnoli against Ace Austin, Eddie Kingston against Jake Doyle, and Matt Seidel against Orange Cassidy. I am curious to see how they book Eddie Kingston in this tournament, if he is even up for going the distance here. Or if they eliminate him in the first round to Jake Doyle, I could also see that outcome.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that
Yeah.
more right now. It doesn't seem like Eddie is I don't know exactly what's going on with him, but he doesn't seem to be prioritized right now in their pecking order, and I don't really see it even ahead of All In. Um,
How
you
far
know,
do you see Nigel going? Like, could he go all the way to Wembley?
I feel like he's at least could be one of the top picks because obviously I feel like we can lock in John Moxley, at the very end. Just it seems to fit their style of booking to like have the
Yeah.
champion actually lose, on the biggest stage rather than somebody else. Of course, they could always surprise us, but I am expecting Moxley to make it into one of the final spots, and therefore, who's Moxley going to face at All In?
I
Nigel
could
would
see
be one,
Nigel.
but
I could see Nigel being on the card at Wembley, but maybe not in this role.
yeah.
But it's possible. You could like that is an easy story to do.
Mhm.
Um, I
But
also
but
don't think
Nigel's kind of already had his moment, and like at this
yeah.
point, not to say he can't have another one, of course, and like he has some shared history with Moxley with like where they've trained and everything, but like I don't know. I wonder if that's a spot that you want to give to like somebody who's actually active, right? Like somebody like a Jay White, who I think there's a lot more upside for, like
This
in this.
Kyle, like, can you reignite that with
I don't
Moxley?
think so. Not
No.
not for Wembley. No, I think they're done.
Well, it's probably not going to be Perry. Yeah.
Yeah. Who are the options? You know, I think
Nigel, Kyle.
so. Like the dogs in Bang Bang Gang are sort of involved, and maybe that's their destination for All In. But like I might consider a Jay White, being in the mix. Otherwise, yeah, you'd have to look at a baby face. Again, we're assuming Moxley makes it to the end, and they could surprise us and not have him make it to the end.
Do you think Moxley should be losing before this Ospreay match? Like, you could argue he should not be losing, period.
I think he can lose and still do the Ospreay match because the Ospreay match is sort of built on something different than just the championship.
He's got the win over Ospreay as well. There's that as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, 3 matches on Saturday, and then they'll continue next week where they are in Las Vegas. And I don't think they announced anything for Vegas next week on tonight's show. Beyond the
MJF challenging for the number 2 spot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They announced that. So that and several of the Continental Cup matches. All right. Well, there you go. Though that was Grand Slam Mexico, and we're going to say goodbye on the YouTube channel. We're going to continue with feedback for the XL edition, but the double shot is up for today, going through the last 2 editions of Dark Side of the Ring. Next week on the double shot, we're going to wrap up season 3 of WWE Unreal. We have the final 3 episodes to go through. That'll be next week. And before that, Wai and I will be doing the next G1 show on Thursday for everybody to go through the show at Korakuen Hall happening on Thursday. Obviously, a very big month on postwrestlingcafe.com, including many check-ins from myself and Neil Flanagan just to keep Wai abreast of our trip. We will be doing many shows over there for Cafe members. For that week, we're going to...
For all-in weekend, by the way.
For all in week, yes. Instead of audio updates, we're going to be doing updates with me and Neil daily from London as well. But this month we've also got reviews of Death Before Dishonor, UFC 330, TNA Lockdown. We have the whole remainder of the G1 as we're at the midway point, and a review coming this week of Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I can report my wife took my daughter to see today.
Oh, and how did she like it?
She
number one, did she make it through the whole thing? Because it's like 2 hours.
She made it till the end, but I was told the last hour was a real struggle. She wanted to leave with an hour left.
Oh, I can understand. That's a
2.5 is a long time. She's never sat through a movie that long before, so that was a bit of a test. But she did make it to the end, and it sounds like she enjoyed it. So,
well, she should leave some feedback for MCU later.
Maybe she will. Maybe she will. Are you going to leave some feedback for Friday, given that you have seen the film?
You know what? I'm going to let Second Cup of the Day, Blind Avenger, I'm going to let them handle that. They do a great job.
Okay. postwrestlingcafe.com. That's where you can follow all of our work. We're going to say goodbye on the YouTube channel.